Good afternoon, Fantasy Bay. Mike Williams here with a Week 5 game preview. We're going to go over the Thursday night game, the Rams versus Seattle Seahawks. Let's get it started. That game's going to be Thursday at 8:20, which is today. And the over-under was 48 when it came out. It's now 49. And the spread is -1.5 Seattle. It started at -1.5 for the Rams, but it seems to be people are betting for the Seattle Seahawks. So let's get it started. We're going to start with the Seahawks. Russell Wilson didn't have a great game, but they got a win. The defense got a defensive touchdown, so they really didn't have to do too much last week. Chris Carson looked great. He ran it down the Cardinals' throat. He had 22 rushes for 104 yards. He also had 4 receptions for 41 yards. Love that. He was 4 for 4, which means he's catching the ball. He's involved in both facets of the game. If they're down, he can get utilized. If he's up, they can run out the clock. I love that. Next, we are going to go over Tyler Lockett. He didn't have a crazy blow-up game like he had the week before, but he did go 4 for 4 for 51 yards. I like that. He has a solid floor, and his upside is amazing. Let's talk about the tight end. Actually, I need to let y'all know something. DK Metcalf, if you didn't watch this game, you think that he just had a terrible game. He was 1 for 4 with 6 yards. And yeah, he didn't have the greatest of games. But he did get 2 targets in the end zone, and they were just batted away. If you're desperate for a wide receiver and you're looking for a touchdown, or if you want to get some DFS love, I think that DK Metcalf gets a touchdown today. He's also been targeted more than anybody in the league in the red zone with 7. He's big, he's fast, and I think that he will run a straight line very well and catch a touchdown. All right, let's go to Will Disley. Will Disley is having himself a year. I personally think he needs to be rostered in all leagues. He is a top 10 tight end moving forward, and he could be a top 5 if he keeps playing as well as he's been playing. He had 7 receptions out of 8 targets, which 8 targets for a tight end, that's amazing. He led the team in targets. He had 57 yards and a touchdown. Love it. Will Disley, fire him up, of course. All right, so next we're going to go to how well the Rams play against the different positions. All right, we're going to start at quarterback. The Rams are 8th against the quarterback, but I'm firing up Russell Wilson because he's Russell Wilson and he's great. Next, we'll go to running backs, and the Rams are 13th against the running back. So Chris Carson looked great last week. I think he's going to look great this week. Fire him up. Wide receivers, the Rams are 11th. So they're one of the better teams in the league, but nothing that really scares me other than whoever's going to be shadowed. I think that they could have a poor game, but I think Lockett plays out of the slot, and Tyler Lockett's fast, so I think he should have a good game. All right, we're gonna go to tight ends, and they're 17th against tight end. What Will Disley should eat? I think that everybody I talked about should have a pretty decent game. All right, now let's move over to the Rams. Man. Last week, sorry Rams, that was a tough loss for y'all. Man, I wonder who beat. Oh yeah, Tampa won that game. You know what? Let me stop. Y'all are here for the fantasy analysis, not for me to stomp on the Rams fans. Jared Goff had the worst 500-yard game I've ever seen. 500 yards and 2 touchdowns. You'd think, man, that's an amazing game, but he did not look great. The numbers. The yards may not show it. The touchdowns may not show it. 3 picks definitely shows it, though. That was not 3 picks and a fumble. He did not have a very good game. Even though he threw for 500 yards, even though he had 2 touchdowns, he still had a QBR of 40.7, which is trash. Todd Gurley didn't really get it going in the running game. He had 5 carries for 16 yards, But he did have 2 touchdowns, which Todd Gurley's going to get you some touchdowns. He had great run after the catch, and he also had great run after contact. That first touchdown powered his way through. He hit the first line. He's like, nah, I'm not going down. Hit the second line, fell into the end zone. Loved it. All right, let's go to the receiving game. Todd Gurley had 7 receptions out of 11 targets. That's not going to happen every game because they're not going to be down to the Bucs every game. But still, 7 receptions is fantastic. For 54 yards, loving it. And everybody knows you're going to start all 3 of the wide receivers on the Rams every week. Robert Woods had a coming out party. 13 receptions out of 15 targets. That's amazing. 164 yards. You're starting him. Fantastic. Cooper Kupp, top 5 wide receiver in the league this year. 9 receptions, a touchdown, 121 yards. And that touchdown he got had some great blocking by Robert Woods and an amazing run by Cooper Kupp. It's nice to see them celebrate together. They both had 15 targets. You love to see that. Brandon Cooks, 6 receptions for 71 yards. Didn't kill your team. Didn't have an amazing day, but pretty decent. He had 9 targets. Love to see that. All right, let's get down to the tight end. We had Everett. So Everett, I actually really liked this week. It looked like he was getting targeted a lot. He had 8 targets, 5 receptions, 44 yards, and a touchdown. He's a flyer if you need a tight end and you really can't find one off the waiver wire, which luckily this year has been much better with the tight ends. You have a lot of tight ends coming out of nowhere that we wouldn't have expected to be good. Like we have the Will Disleys. Austin Hooper looks amazing. Darren Waller looks great. Mark Andrews. So the years of the fantasy tight end being dead are, I feel like, starting to be gone because we have at least 7 to 10, and I think that's a pretty solid amount. All right, let's go see how the Seattle Seahawks stack up against the positions. All right, we're going to start with quarterback. And Seattle's 17th against the quarterback. Jared Goff should have a decent game. I'm not looking for him to have a game busters game because it's in division. And we all know that in division, teams do not play as well as they normally do. It's normally a lower scoring game. But I do think that he has an okay game, but I'm not looking for him to be gangbusters. I wouldn't put him in on a daily lineup or anything like that. Seattle is 27th against the running back, so whoo, Todd Gurley. About to be Todd Manley up in here, taking him out. I'm looking for at least 80 all-purpose yards and a touchdown from Todd Gurley, at least. All right, let's get to the wide receiver matchup. So Seattle is 15th against the wide receivers, but like I said before, you're starting all of them. Every single one of your wide receivers from that team, Robert Woods, Brandon Cooks, Cooper Kupp, all of them. You're starting all your wide receivers. They're fantastic. And last but not least, the Seattle Seahawks are 31st against the tight end. So like I said, if you're desperate for a tight end and you really need one, Everett will get you 4 receptions, 50 yards maybe, and a possible touchdown. So I appreciate you, Fantasy Bay. If you have any questions, hit me up. See you later. Peace.